Oh hey, it's your friend who's already had 3 Menti Bees so far this week. But I'm stable and ready to bring you some more tech tea. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here are 3 tech updates to get you through your Wednesday. Fortnite may actually be coming back to iPhones after all. Here's what happened. Last week, Apple decided to delete Epic Games' developer account after it announced plans to release an alternative app store in the EU. It may have also gone on the internet and bashed the company for its predatory fees, but tomatoes, tomatoes. Epic went on to say this went against the Digital Marketing Act and would be used in their ongoing legal battle. And it turns out they may have been a little bit right on that. The decision comes after the European regulators had made hints that if Apple were to continue this tactic, they would be at risk of a pretty substantial fine, since this would in fact impinge on the DMA. Apple released a brief statement saying that Epic has agreed to follow the rules, so they are able to re-sign the developer agreement. Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic, also released a statement via X that he was happy the European Commission had swift action to deliver the first good news between the two of them in years. So there we have it. Apple will absolutely be watching Epic's account and future marketplace with a microscope, but at least iPhone users are that much closer to getting games like Fortnite back on their phones. Now we just need to finish the 4-year-old lawsuit. TikTok may be releasing a new app even with an impending ban. Here's what you need to know. We have all heard about the ban on TikTok, and just like every other creator has said, it is gaining steam in Congress, but even with that, TikTok is pushing real hard on a future app to compete even more with things like Instagram. Enter TikTok Photos. If you've created videos on the app recently, you most likely have had a notification to make one with just a slideshow of pictures and how those pictures are getting X amount more views compared to short-term videos or something of the like. It would seem ByteDance wants to take that a step further now. This comes after one infamous debugger discovered a string of code from the latest Android installation file, or APK for those that know, which shows text for things like open TikTok photos or get TikTok photos and others like it. There's also a line of text which shows TikTok photos will be launched soon. We hope to help you gain new audiences in the new app, which hints that early adopters will have their audiences boosted temporarily. We even get a new icon. Look! Although the code taught us a lot, there's no release date yet, or confirmation from ByteDance, although they may have their hands tied with some legislation trouble, so who can really blame them? And finally, Final Fantasy XVI is coming to PC sooner than you might think. Here's what you need to know. Final Fantasy XVI released exclusively on PS5 last June, and while the people that played the game really enjoyed it, the revenue told a different story. That's in big part due to it being a console exclusive, with no hint at a release window for other platforms. We're kind of in this find out stage with tech giants, where they finally come to the conclusion that maybe exclusivity on AAA titles just isn't a good strategy after all. But that is a discussion for another time. Wesley LeBlanc of Game Informer got to sit down to interview Yoshida, the producer of 16, where he mentioned that the team is in the last stages of optimization for the title. He also goes on to say that while they are optimizing things for this version, the requirements needed for it on PC would be relatively high. It's understandable from a game which goes from normal combat to a giant cutscene-like icon battle. Yoshida also says that prior to release, they will be releasing a demo which gives players a scope of whether or not their hardware will be compatible with the full version. He ends by saying that while he cannot say definitive dates yet, we for sure won't have to wait a year for it to be playable on PC. Yoshida is, if nothing else, a lover of the fan, so I would absolutely bet he's itching to say more, but is probably restricted in what he can at this point by Square Enix and even Sony, depending on what their exclusivity clause was. While we do have to wait for a true port, PS5 owners will not have to wait for the game's DLC. Final Fantasy XVI's first DLC, The Echoes of the Fallen, is already playable, and the second part, The Rising Tide, is due out sometime this spring, so we should be getting a release date like real soon. That's all I have for now. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you back here for some more tech tea.